Hey, good morning, guys. This is Jeannette Echevarria with the Freedom Network. And today you guys are in for a treat. I brought my good friend Salt. He is a human behavioral specialist. And blown away, honestly, with the amount of work that what he does for people, how he helps people transform their lives. And today, he's going to give us a lot of his gifts. And I hope that you guys can receive them very well. If not, we'll definitely play this over and over again until we do. But I want to share with you guys, that personally, Salt has been there for our family, for myself as an individual. He's helped me, I think through a lot of things that I've held inside. And those are just little things that can change someone's life. Like, it could be something so small that you don't even realize. And he is able to make you aware and maybe put it behind you for the good, right? And one thing that he did, our first class, he actually joined us, my first class. Mm-hmm. And the one thing that we did an exercise, and it was all around gratitude. And so today, I want to say I'm very grateful that he's here. He's here in my home, you guys. So I get to have him for a few days. And just imagine the level of transformation that myself and my family will go through. It's going to be truly life-changing. And I don't mind doing maybe a recap later on, next week or in another week, that we can share what we've discovered and all the things that I've let go. And all the amazing things that are going to happen from this. But thank you for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
And I wanted to share my, give you Salt as a gift, because this is something that doesn't happen often, and I would love to share that with you guys.
So thank you. Thank you very much, Jeannie, and thank you for the folks that are here. And happy to talk, happy to share. If you have questions, you're more than welcome to ask some questions. So where I thought maybe I'd start off just a little bit is just talking about this law. It's called the law of change. It's a universal law. And the law of change says that all things are gradually becoming something else. Everything around you, yourself, all the things around you are in constant change. They're in constant flux. And the secret is actually to start to get intentional about the change. And you might have heard the saying before around that change is inevitable, but growth is optional. And that's where I step in, right? I help people to grow. And maximum growth occurs at the border of support and challenge. You need both support, people encouraging you, and you also need challenge, people who are challenging you in order to have the optimal growth in your life and to actually experience the greatest amount of growth and change, if you will. Does that make sense? So an area that I love to help people focus in on is in their finances. Right? Who wouldn't like to have a little bit better handle on their finances, feel a little bit more certain about yourself with your money, this sort of thing. So I'm going to teach you a couple of principles, and then I'm going to teach you a profit preserving method as well. Does that sound fair? So everything in your life starts with the mind. There's an ancient saying that says, as a person thinks, so they are. So it's important that you actually get a hold of your own thinking. So here's a couple of money concepts to help you in that regard. Number one, you will only make and keep the amount of money that you perceive that you're worth. Let me say that again. You will only make and keep the amount of money that you perceive that you're worth. And how this actually shows up is there's times that, like, maybe you've had 3 closings this month. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm knocking it out of the park. And then like 2 months later, 3 months later, you're like, oh my gosh, where'd all the money go? Right? You made money, but you didn't keep it. And part of that is because again, it's about your value, your worth, how you truly see yourself. You can think of it this way too. If you were walking through a parking lot and you saw a $20 bill on the ground, right? And you kind of looked around and you can't really, there's really no one around, or you can't really see who it is or who it belongs to. You pick up that $20 bill. What do you want to do with that $20 bill? Right? A lot of times people go, well, I'm going to go in and I'm going to buy something. I'm going to get myself a cup of coffee, right? I'm going to, I'm going to give it away to somebody else, right? And that's exactly the concept. It's like, you don't perceive that you're worth that $20, that 20 is not yours. You didn't earn it. So you want to get rid of it as quickly as possible, right? How we come into money determines partly what we do with our money. If someone said, hey, will you help me out for 15 minutes and I'm going to throw you a 20 spot, you're going to use that $20 differently than you would the $20 that you found on the ground. So it's important that you actually understand that you will only make and keep the amount of money that you perceive that you're worth. Here's another concept. So people will only value you to the degree that you value yourself. So if you have, again, if you don't have a high value on yourself, you can't expect other people to have a high value on you. So those two are kind of hand in hand. And then here's one more for you. This was actually first, I can't say directly spoken to, but it was alluded to by Hubert Howe Bancroft in the Book of Wealth, which was published in 1890. I want to say it was 1896. It might be 1894, but I think it was 1896 when he published the Book of Wealth. Now, the Book of Wealth was 12 volumes, and he studied the pattern of wealth through countries and individuals through the history of, throughout all of history. And he found that there are certain themes that occur throughout history with money. And one of those main themes was, or is, that money flows from those who value it least to those who value it most. I'll say that again. Money flows from those who value it least to those who value it most. So again, it's important, if you want to improve or change your financial situation, that you actually have a higher value on money. The greatest financial advice I've ever been given, absolutely, hands down, the greatest financial advice I've ever been given is to value saving money more than you value spending money. I was dead broke when I met this guy. His name's Dr. John DeMartini. I'd heard about Dr. DeMartini a couple of years previously. I was going through divorce. I'd made some bad business decisions. I mean, I was broke. And I went to his a public talk that he gave, and his talk was on I think it was on like families or relationships, something like that. And at the end, he was like, if you have any questions, you can come up and talk to me. And I realized that he was just a genius in many, many different areas in life. And so I was the last person in line. And I asked him, I'm like, Dr. DeMartini, what would a guy like you tell a guy like me to become more a guy like you financially? And he just looked at me and he said, value saving money more than you value spending money. And then he just kept looking at me. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like I expected him to go, buy this book or, here's the 7 steps or whatever that is. So I went home and I pulled out a piece of paper and I'm like, okay, everything I know about money says you got to have a budget, right? So let me do a budget, right? So here's my mortgage and here's child support and here's food and here's cell phone and da-da-da and here's this and here's that. And it's like, oh my God, I don't have any money to save. And then I thought about, what did Dr. DeMartini say? He actually said, value saving more than you value spending. And I realized, and I went, oh my gosh, And I took saving and I put it at the top of the list instead of at the bottom. And that changed everything. See, wealthy people pay themselves first. People who struggle with finances pay themselves last. And so I started to value myself and go, I'm important enough to start to pay myself something first. Even if it was $10 or $20, especially back then. It was like, right? So value saving money more than you value spending money, right? So for those of you that have just been joining, my name is Garrison. I'm a human behavioral specialist. I'm good friends with Jeannie and Will, and so it's my privilege to be here with you guys this morning. And I'm just sharing some thoughts around human behavior and finances, which is what I love to help people with, is the mindset around money. So I want to teach you guys a quick system, but before I do that, are there any questions? I know we've got just any questions or comments anybody wants to make real quick before I move into the system?
I have a question.
Please.
How do you learn what to pay yourself? In real estate, we can be in the negatives and we're waiting on that big paycheck to back pay some bills sometimes.
Yep.
So how do you get in that habit of learning what you actually pay yourself to get ahead?
Yep. So I look at it, and by the way, I don't know your name. So I'm Salt, and you are? You are muted.
Sorry. I'm Tanya. It probably shows up as iPhone.
Awesome. So nice to meet you, Tanya, and I appreciate you.
I'm with Jeannie here in Virginia in Hampton Roads.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. Very awesome.
Dating our Virginia Beach, Norfolk area.
Awesome. Good on you.
Yeah.
Really good on you. You know, Tanya, when someone has an inconsistent income stream, so that's a great question, and it's a challenging question. So one piece that you can kind of look at or try to look at is dollar cost averaging over like the previous year or the previous couple of years, and try to get at least a minimum if you can. I mean, there's no really good way that I can just tell you, to do that again, because the income can become so inconsistent. What I would say is this, though, is regardless of your debt and regardless of what the income is, save something. And what I found for myself, I mean, like originally, like I was saving like $5, and going, okay, I got to save something, right?
So it's really kind of setting up that habit too, right? The perspective and the mindset of save first, spend next. Okay.
Exactly.
Got it.
And what it is, Tanya, is it is the physical representation of valuing yourself and going, I matter. I matter more than the credit card company. I matter more than the cell phone company, right? And going, I matter, so I'm gonna pay myself something, even if it's a little. And it starts to create that value mindset. And I don't know if you were here at the very beginning when I said that you'll only make and keep the amount of money that you perceive that you're worth. And it's a way to start to increase your self-worth.
Okay. You're good for my anxiety too. Can you come to Virginia?
I'm happy. I travel. I'm here in Florida. I'm originally from Colorado. That's where I live.
Oh,
But
what part of Colorado?
I live just outside of Denver. I live in a suburb of Denver, about 20 minutes from downtown Denver.
Okay, I'm from I used to live in Arvada in Grand Junction.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. That's awesome. So let me teach you guys just real quick about a profit preserving methodology, if you will. So this is 5 different accounts. I'm going to draw a little picture. And it's like a chemistry set. So give me 1 second. And this is what it looks like. So if you want to draw this yourself, so draw a triangle first, and then a rectangle, a circle, and then 2 more rectangles. Notice how the first 3 all kind of stem from up here. The 4th one does not stem from that top line. It actually just comes off the circle. And then the last one also stems from the top. Okay. So
quick question on that, because I'm not sure if the image is mirrored. Is the triangle the first thing or the cylinder the first thing?
so the triangle is the first thing.
Perfect. Okay.
Thanks for the question. Okay. So I've numbered these 1 through 5. So number 1, so I'm going to label these for you now. So number 1 is, this is your operating expense account. Number 2 is your tax account. Number 3 is your business profit account. Number 4 is an investment account. And number 5 is the owner's personal account. Now, attorneys probably say at this point that I probably need to make some kind of statement about, this is a suggestion, this isn't financial advice, right? Invest at your own risk, follow your own heart, all that kind of good stuff, all right? What I find is that this is a system that works for me. It works for several of the businesses that I consult with. And it also sets up a beautiful mindset. So let me explain to you how this works. So all money in the business, all money goes into the operating account first, right? This is your main checkbook. Now, from this, you will pay yourself. So from this account, you will pay into your personal account. Do not use your business account. Do not use your operation expense account as your personal checkbook, which is a mistake that many, many entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, people who own their own business, that's a huge mistake that people make, is they use their business account as a personal account. Oh, I'm gonna take the family out for dinner and we're gonna make that a business expense, right? And again, if you've been in business, you've probably done it. We all have at some point, I'm sure, and it becomes a big mistake. All right. So you pay yourself from this. Second piece that's really important to know is, what is your minimum and your maximum monthly amount? What's the least amount that you need in this account, and what's the most that you need in this account on a monthly basis to cover your monthly expenses in the business, whatever that might be, right? What's the minimum? What's the maximum? Now, I'm just going to use really round numbers here. So let's say, for example, for us, our maximum, the most that we really need just to cover in the month is $5,000. Okay. So in this system, at the end of the week, you look at your account. You look at this first account and you go, how much money do I have in there? Right. Well, for this week, you actually have $6,000. Woohoo! Good on you. Okay. And what I suggest to people is that you take 50% of the overage, and that goes into your tax bucket. Because we all know eventually we're going to have to pay some tax. So saving money along the way and offsetting your tax burden is going to reduce your stress. So take half of the overage and put it there. And then the other half of the overage goes into your business profit account. So now you're building a separate account where you're preserving your profits. Now, with your business profit account, you want to build that up to 3 months of expenses. So in our case, $15,000. Okay, so you want your business profit account to build up to 3 months of expenses. This is kind of your rainy day fund also. It's like if, you know, if COVID hit and you had a 3-month cushion, right? There's probably be a people that would be in a much different situation than they are right now. And that's one of the things that Dr. DeMartini taught me also. Dr. DeMartini is my teacher, my friend, my mentor. He's the person who's had probably the biggest impact of my life. And one of the things that he says continuously is to have an account that has a 3-month cushion. So again, do what you can to continue to try to build that account up. Now, once you put so we had $6,000, so $500 goes into the tax account, $500 goes into the business profit account. And if you're like, oh my gosh, I'm over the 15,000 now, then you take that extra and you put it into an investment account. So you take any overage and you put it into your investment account. Okay. And this is where, and I suggest that this is where, from that account, that's where you buy additional assets. Or you could look at buying equity into another business or another, interest that you might have that will continue to grow the asset, grow the investment. Does this make sense? All right, perfect. So again, it's a profit preserving system. It's helping you to preserve yourself as far as taxes and kind of help offset that as you go. You're intentionally saving some of the profit and not just keeping it over here and spending it and going, oh, we have extra so we can spend it, right? Again, value saving money more than you value spending money. As your profits grow, then you can actually earn the right to invest and to risk more. And meanwhile, you want to make sure that you're paying yourself as well. So that's the profit saving system that I wanted to share with you folks today. Questions or comments there, and then I'll pass it back up to Jeannie here in just a moment.
What book did you say? Hi, this is Renee from Virginia.
Hi, Renee. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Well, thank you.
Good. What book did you say that you learned from? Or that you were talking about in the beginning? I'm sure you've learned from a lot of books, but
Yes. So I was going to say, I am a voracious reader. Voracious, which I'm a big reader. So the book that I alluded to it's entitled The Book of Wealth by Hubert Howard Bancroft. Now, it is So the original books, so they're big. I mean, they're not like they are not like this. All right.
Okay.
They are huge. So and I'm trying to remember. I don't remember how many originals he published, but he published them specifically only for the wealthy. And if you're a book collector like I am, they are some of the most sought after books in a book collection. Dr. DeMartini actually has one of the sets, one of the full sets. And I was at his office and actually saw them and was able to kind of flip through them. They're magnificent, magnificent books. But they are not a book like you are going to think, like, so this book here, this is called Traction, Get a Grip on Your Business, right? So this is going to walk you through step by step how to build, how to market, how to design part of your business, right? This is a good book also. The Book of Wealth is not that. The Book of Wealth is going to, like, here's Egypt and here's the wealth in Egypt kind of thing. It's more of a history book than it is a how-to book. When you actually read the Book of Wealth and you study the Book of Wealth, you will see the patterns. And that's the piece, is actually seeing the patterns in how wealth is built, how it's created, how it's maintained. So it's actually, it's more examining the patterns. There's not a sentence in there that says, money flows from those who value it least to those who value it most, right? You're not going to find that sentence in his book.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, does that answer your question?
Yes. Yep.
Perfect.
Thank you. I figured when you said it's not like your normal book, I'm like, okay, it's probably like a chemistry book, right? Because you had those little chemistry little. Probably not the kind of book I would enjoy reading, but I really enjoy listening to you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. So, other questions, other comments?
So this is great stuff. I really like the fact that you're walking through somebody on a framework for them to be able to apply to their own personal earnings. Because everybody's accounts are going to be completely different. So at least you give them like a roadmap and kind of like a blueprint of 50 over here, 25 over here, whatever excess over here, and so on and so forth. Like, I think that's really, really great. And I definitely appreciate and I'm grateful for you being able to share that for everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So,
Yeah, and that's what it really, like, for me. He actually did this exercise for me yesterday, and I'm always blown away by his techniques and everything that he shares. But it's something so simple, right? And I start connecting with, I do have a lot of agents that I mentor, right, that are brand new and they have no idea of how to begin running the business as a business. And this right here is a simple, very simple way of just the how to and start and build from there, right? So imagine me as a business owner having to have a business profit and then having to invest within my own business. So imagine us, like, we have our real estate company, right? And we all aspire to be investors, right? To do exactly what we're helping our clients do, which is create freedom or wealth through real estate. And so this is right here is going to give you the blueprint of earning that, growing that yourself, and then you can end up buying investment properties on your own from your business. How beautiful is that?
yeah. I see some comments in the chat here, and I'm just gonna respond to a few of these here. But excuse me. So a couple of pieces that I would say, as far as like really good books. So Dr. DeMartini wrote How to Make One Hell of a Profit and Still Get to Heaven. How to Make One Hell of a Profit and Still Get to Heaven. And so that's a great book as far as finances go. Richest Man in Babylon is also a great book. So I was trying to. There's another book, and my brain is blocking on it, and I apologize for that right now. I will think about it. I'll come back to it as far as that goes. I do like the Sleep Well at Night account.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's a good one as well. Let me see here if there was something else. I think that was it. The best 101 books. Business Made Simple by Don Miller. Business Made Simple by Don Miller. I love Don Miller. I love his work. That's actually he teaches this. Lots of people teach this, but it's so that's a great resource also as far as book stuff goes. If you're looking for a book for business, a great business book is The Go-Giver. If you've not read The Go-Giver, it's a business parable. You could read it probably in about 2 hours, two and a half hours on a Sunday afternoon. It teaches some just basic business principles. And here's another little thing with The Go-Giver. If you're building your team, if you're bringing on some other people, if you buy a couple of copies of that book and give it to somebody, right? It's a great way to go. I really support you in your business. I love what you're doing, this kind of thing. And here's an opportunity, right? I want to share this with you because it's got some great wisdom in it. The Go-Giver, awesome book as well. So, any other questions or comments? Rude remarks? No, I'm just kidding.
I love that you say to buy additional books and give, because
Yeah.
that's something that I noticed myself for this last 2 months. I think we've been giving away books, my husband and I. And I'm like, before I didn't value honestly the knowledge that you get from the books, like not to that extent, right? I was so caught up in the rat race of life and the business operations and everything that, I didn't value what I obtain. And recently I've been changing my routine and I am reading. And now I get to see that, and giving a book, it's such an amazing gift.
Yeah.
Like it's a gift that can change someone's life. Right. So I've been appreciating that. So I love that, because now I feel like there's a couple books that I already want to have additional copies. And then when I find someone that I know is gonna, have an impact, I will give it to.
That's awesome. Courtney, did you have a question?
I did. It was actually just a statement. I just heard a gentleman explain to a young first-time home buyer that I'm dealing with to pay himself first. It was kind of funny the way he said it, but what he told the young man to do, he happens to be a former Marine, just got out a few months ago, so we're looking for him in his first home. He told the young man that all of his overtime pay and extra pay and all that, to put that in a separate account, and then every day move, even if it's just $10. If he puts $300 a month in, he moves $10 a day into an investment account or a different savings. But physically move it and start to learn to save and value his savings. Exactly what you just talked about. It was so pointed. It's something so little. He says it's just like when we were in the military. You make your bunk every morning. You get in the habit of doing that. And he told the guy, he said, just put $300 in there for the month and move $10 a day, whether it's into a Robinhood account, you want to buy a stock, or start educating yourself. But just $10 a day will change the way he thinks. Thought it was awesome, and I appreciate what you said earlier too. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I have a son who is currently serving in the U.S. Marine Corps also. So I love hearing stories about the Marines for sure. So a couple of pieces that come to mind for me. So one of the things when I actually talk to people on a little bit deeper level is I actually encourage people to automate that, because it takes out the emotion. Right. So it's like, well, I want to go out with the guys on Friday. Right. And I want to make sure I have enough money, or I got a date on Friday and I want to make sure I can take her to, a nice dinner or, whatever kind of thing. And it's like, just automate that. And I do that myself. So my bank just automatically withdraws. And so I don't even think about it. It takes the emotion out of it. It's not up for negotiation. It just happens. But I agree with the consistency piece. There's 4 steps and 6 principles in money. And one of them is the time value of money. One of the principles is the time value of money, right? If you took $5 a day, right, invested it at 8%, and I know it sounds like a long time, but in 40 years, you'd have $500,000 in an account. And that's the time value of money. So just $5 a day, right? And most people, you go, can you do $5 a day? And they're like, well, I can give up a Starbucks or going through fast food, place or whatever. Awesome, right? And then like you're saying, if you did $10 at the same 8% in 40 years, by the time this kid's 60 some odd years old, you got $1 million sitting in a bucket here, right? I don't know very many people that would step over $1 million and walk by it, at 60 years old. So, yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. So cool. If you would like to access more of me, I have a website. So part of the website is being renewed right now. So some of the links might not quite work. I was hoping by the end of last week to have that finished, but I'm hoping here by Thursday, Friday that we get that all set up. But it's www.grainofsalt.coach. Grainofsalt.coach. And so if you'd like to reach out there, by all means. And again, thank you so much. And thank you, Jeannie, for the opportunity.
Oh my gosh.
So much
Thank you
fun.
so much for joining us
So
and
much fun.
sharing this amazing concept. Well, thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you all being here. And, those who are going to be watching this, take notes, definitely apply this in your life and your business because it's going to change your life. And so thanks so much. Have a great day. See you next Wednesday.
Take care.